Teaching stay using the Kikopup method.
Splash down. Splash down. Free. Good job. Okay, go get it. Down. Free. Sit. Get it. Good girl.
This is the Kikopup method of teaching a stay. First, you get the behavior using either capturing, free shaping, or luring. I'm going to show you how you can use luring in this video. Then once you've got that behavior going for a couple of seconds, you're going to immediately add a release cue and then add stimulus control to the release cue. Stimulus control means the dog only gets up when they hear the release cue, no matter what is going on in the environment. Once you've got that dog with stimulus control on the release cue, then you can start adding criteria and variety to the stay. Step 1. Get the behavior. I like to keep the food in my right hand with the clicker on top of it and use my left hand for luring. 1, because I'm left-handed, and 2, because the eventual hand signals are going to be done with my left hand. So firstly, you want to get the dog interested in following a treat. Anywhere that treat goes, their nose goes. For teaching stays, I like to teach the dog to never move their 2 back feet, no matter what. So if they're in a sit and they go down, those back feet stay exactly there. When they go into a stand, all 4 feet stay the same. Stand to down, all 4 feet stay in the same location. Down to sit, those 2 back feet are always in the same location. Sit to stand, those 2 back feet, there they are, they're glued. That way, you can ask your dog to change positions at a distance and they never creep forwards because they always know that those 2 back feet are glued to the ground. Teaching multiple behaviors adds variety to training sessions. To teach the down from the stand, get the dog interested in the treat, and then while he's standing there interested in the treat, click for all of his 4 feet staying in the same place. The next step is pushing the treat while his neck is straight backwards a little bit. You're going to be pushing it at a diagonal. What I'm clicking for is these 2 leg muscles moving. Good job. The next step is going all the way down. You're pushing your hand into the dog. If you just push your hand downwards, you might get a bow. So you're pushing backwards into the dog. Teaching the stand from the down, you simply lift the treat up at the same diagonal. I'm clicking for the dog moving his muscles as well as keeping his feet still. If your dog's moving his feet a lot initially, just click for the muscle movements, forget about the feet, and then once you've got the dog going down and up, you can start clicking for the dog only keeping his feet still. From the stand to the sit, I like the dog to keep his 2 back feet completely glued in place. So I'm going to push the treat backwards and click the dog for taking a step back with his 2 front feet. Good job. Then from the sit to the stand, I'm going to pull that treat forwards so that he takes 2 steps forwards and then 2 steps back. So a down from a sit, you simply just pull the treat down and forward slightly, click as the dog goes down. Some dogs you can just put the treat directly on the ground and they'll go down. If your dog is having trouble, just move slower and click approximations. The dog's squatting and finally he goes down. Down to sit, simply pull the treat at a diagonal up over the dog's head. Here you can see I'm luring the same behaviors with a 5-week-old puppy that's never worked for food before. If you're not having success with the luring, it's not the dog's fault. You're either luring incorrectly, the food isn't good enough, or you're in too distracting an environment for the dog to concentrate. Puppy class is probably the worst place to train a dog a new behavior because there's just too many distractions. Build muscle memory. So once your dog starts moving quite reliably into the different positions quickly with the lure, you can start going over the different positions before you click. So here we go. We're going to go from a down to a stand, back to a down, and then to a sit, and then to a stand before I click. Down, sit, stand. I'm only saying the words so you can see the different positions. You're not going to add a verbal cue yet. You're just practicing getting the dog to move how you want the dog to move. Good job. Fading the lure. So immediately you want to get rid of that piece of food in your hand that you're luring the dog with. To do that, you basically just get a pretend treat and do the same hand movements. Click, but there's no treat there. The treat comes from your other hand. So the down, the dog follows the empty hand. You're holding it in the same way that you would have a treat in it, but you're clicking the movement even though there's no treat. And you can either feed your dog with the hand that you used as the lure or feed them with the other hand, but it's slightly difficult because you've got your clicker in there, so you have to kind of shuffle things. I like to use just the hand that I lured with to feed with. There's no food, lure, good job. And the click marks the movement of following the empty hand. So once your dog's following your empty hand, you can practice removing your hand and clicking them for staying in the position. So they go down, remove the hand, you're clicking as the hand's being removed. A lot of dogs get stuck with the hand having to be there for them to stay there, and as soon as you remove the hand, they get up. So start that immediately or your dog could get stuck in the habit. Good job. Good job. Then you're going to start removing your hand for longer and longer periods of time while they stay in the position. Morphing the lure into a visual cue. You can now teach your dog visual cues for the behaviors you've been luring. You could also add a verbal cue. I have a video on that and I'll link it up here. So at first I'm going to do the lure and then I'm going to morph the lure into the hand signal. So here goes. From this distance, it worked. Yeah. Then from this distance, and then from standing up. Good job. You might have to go back a step a couple times because if you always make it harder and harder, the dog could get frustrated. For little dogs, hand signals look dramatically different from when you're kneeling to when you're standing. Luring behaviors can be helpful down the line because when your dog becomes confused, you can always revert back to the hand signal to refresh the dog's memory, as shown in the next clip. Down. If you didn't, I'm going to show him down on the hand signal, but no treat. Sit. Ready? Down. Good boy. Another thing you can do is ask for the behavior 10 times and then try it standing up. So I'm going to say down, click, treat. Okay. Ready? Down, click, treat. Do that 10 times. Then I'm going to stand up. And now she's probably going to lay down. So I could add any cue that I wanted. Say for instance, hamster or something. Ready? Hamster. Good girl. So by asking for a behavior over and over, it makes it predictable that you're going to say it again. So she sees she's offering the down. So now I'm going to stand up and say hamster. Good girl. Film yourself training your dog with hand signals to make sure that you're being clear and not sloppy. In this clip, I'm doing some very sloppy hand signals. Step 2. Train a release cue and add stimulus control. Once your dog has started staying in the positions after you've removed your hand, you can add your release cue. To teach the release cue, say the cue while your dog is in a position, then entice the dog to get up and come towards you. Click as the dog gets up. Great cues to use are free or release because they do not pop up in everyday speech like okay does. Down. Release. Awesome. Down. Good boy. Yes. Release. So what I'm doing is I'm moving after I say release. So I'm not going release. I'm going release. And then if he doesn't, I'm going to move to get him to kind of get up. Stimulus control on the release cue means 1. the dog gets up immediately when released. 2, the dog never gets up when not released. 3, the dog never gets up in response to another cue or stimuli. And 4, no other behavior occurs in response to the release cue besides getting up.
Hamburger. Oranges. Release.
To achieve stimulus control on the release cue, one needs to teach the dog that nothing in the environment apart from the release word means get up. To do this, you will click as the distractions happen and later click the dog after the distractions have happened. You will be teaching the dog that all the situations he thinks to mean get up actually mean remain staying. Start from the lowest level of distractions and move to the highest.
That doesn't mean get up. That doesn't mean get up. Apples doesn't mean get up. Cabbages doesn't mean get up. Hey, hi over there. That doesn't mean get up. But the word that he's waiting for, the only word that he can move on is release. And I'm going to encourage him up if he thinks, no, I think you want me to stay here. Release actually is a cue to mean come to me. And get out of the position. So I'm clicking the exact moment that I do the distraction at first. But then, once he's getting it, which he is, I can do the distraction, do some more distractions, and only click him for the hard one.
If the dog gets up, do not give the dog a treat for getting back into position. As quickly as you can, lure the dog back into the location and the position, and then make the distraction slightly easier. For a more advanced dog, you can simply repeat your hand cue or verbal cue. The goal is that the dog never gets up. So if your dog is getting up often, you will need to go back a step to where your dog is successful.
Yeah. So because that's one that he might get up on, I'll use it as an example. So just standing near his back, I'm going to click him for that. And then maybe just slowly stepping over and feeding him at the same time. And now I'm going to release him. Release! Good boy.
Here you can see Tug learning that no matter what I do with my body, and no matter what comes out of my mouth, the only cue that means get up is the release cue.
Woo! Ha-ha!
The neighbor sucks. How can I like that?
Pumpkins! And apples! And strawberries! And Margaret! And feet! And the feet! And the feet dance! The feet dance! Free! This will be embarrassing. Free!
Be creative. Proof your dog to stay no matter what you do with your body, no matter what comes out of your mouth besides the release word, no matter what food, toys, people, and other distractions are moving in the environment. Remember to release your dog and move away from stressful distractions like loose roaming dogs, loose roaming children, and other distractions that are unfair to make a dog stay through.
Now I'll add a distraction of a food bag. Down. So I'm clicking the exact moment that I wave the bag. And now I'm going to click as I drop it. Now I'm going to wait a little bit. And I could wait till he looks back at me if you wanted eye contact when you're around. But I don't think that's very necessary, because then if you're not around, they can't look at you.
I'm going to work on stimulus control with Tug around toys. I want to teach him that the only thing that means get up is the word free, not a moving toy or the presence of a toy. You can see he really loves his toys. So if you know toys might be more irresistible than food, you might want to start with something like a rock or something that's not even interesting. Or as you can see, Tug, he really likes his toys, but he does love his food as well. First you could click the dog for just the presence of toys, then you could click as you touched the toys, and then you could click as you slightly moved the toys.
to the point where you could throw the toys no matter what toy your dog's not getting up.
Oh. Down.
Here I'm teaching Tug that a squeaky toy doesn't mean get up either.
Good boy. So good.
If you have a dog that's faster than you, it's a good idea to tether them in a leash and harness to something stable. That way you can keep the distractions just out of reach and there's no chance of the dog reinforcing themselves for getting up.
I'm taking it for granted now. Boing. Boing. Release. Good boy. Yay. You want to go check it out? Go check it out. So I could give him permission, to go see the object if he wanted. And I'm going to walk around with the object. Hope he doesn't get up. Oh, he did. So I'm just going to move him and lay him down again without saying anything. And try it again. Make it a little bit easier. Oh, darn it. If he gets up and I've clicked, I'm just going to push him back into the same spot with the treat. Not really forcing him, but trying to get him to be down when I release the treat, because I did click.
Step 3. Raising criteria and adding variety. Raise criteria by combining the distractions, the distance you can get away from your dog, and the duration that your dog remains staying. Use a variable ratio of reinforcement. Basically put, the dog never knows when he will get a reward or be released. Vary the rewards you use: treats, toys, access to the environment, people, and other dogs. Be unpredictable. Release your dog while you're next to your dog, as well as from different distances. Release your dog after short periods and long periods. A down is usually the most comfortable position for a dog to remain in for longer periods of time. Make sure to have your dog on a harness and a long line during the training process so the dog is never reinforced for getting up without being released. Here you can see me combining the distance, distraction, and duration of the stay at the park when my border collie was a 13-week-old puppy. By using back chaining and teaching the release cue first, it makes raising criteria much easier and much faster. The puppy never knows whether she's going to get to run after me and play with the tug toy, whether I'm going to return and give her a treat, or whether I'm going to go back, release her, and then we're going to go for a walk and she can sniff the bushes. The information in this video should enable you to teach your dog the most amazing stay. However, I am making a DVD on the complete process of proofing, raising criteria, and also getting these behaviors at a distance.